New tonight, a North Carolina man will spend more than 10 years in prison for an armed robbery he admitted to committing back in 2016. 34-year-old William White was sentenced today. As 13 News Now reporter Chanu Her found out, finding White after the crime wasn't a very tough task for investigators.
In the middle of the day, many passed friendly check cashing in Elizabeth City. But on the early morning of October 25th, 2016, it took just one person to make his way inside and take off with more than $45,000. The U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of North Carolina said William White, quote, pushed his way through the door behind the employee, pointing a gun at her when she arrived. He forced her into the room where the safe was kept and threatened to shoot her if she did not open the safe quickly. White struck her with a gun as she was opening the safe. He took off with the money after it was opened. Investigators say White bound the employee up at the store using duct tape. He tore the tape using his teeth, and eventually that's what led investigators to finding him. He left his DNA behind. The DNA led police to White, who eventually admitted his involvement on April 19th. He will now spend more than 10 years in prison after he was convicted for robbery and weapons charges. In Elizabeth City, Chanu Her, 13 News Now.